Welcome to the Powered on Tech podcast with your host, Asher Dupree. Plug in and power up for today's hottest tech topics.
Hey everyone, what is up? How's it going? Welcome to the Powered on Tech podcast. This is our 9th episode. That's right, episode 9. My bad there. I'm not doing great with talking. And there's been a nice gap since the last episode, which means that we have like a bunch of nice, rich, juicy stories that we could go over. And I'm also joined by my cousin and co-host, Joshua Friedel. How's it going, man? Oh, so
Hello there.
Yep, that's him. He likes tech. I mean, he's pretty much the largest guest. Not like in size. Like, you're not physically bigger than the other guests, but you're on the show pretty frequently. And hopefully we'll be able to do this more frequently because summer is coming up and we won't be in school, so we could probably do this like every Saturday. Maybe not, but that's what I'm gonna hope for. So maybe keep your eye out for more frequent episodes of the Powered On Tech podcast. Is there anything in specific you want to start with, Joe, or should we just start with story numero uno, as John Prosser would say?
No, there's nothing specific.
Nothing? Alright. So let's start here. This was yesterday, April 14th, and on 9to5mac.com, Instagram announces new features to make Reels more attractive to creators. And for listeners out there, just so you know, we haven't read these prior to reading them right now on the show, so our reactions are going to be completely genuine. I have no idea what Instagram's plan is, so let's get started. My bad. Instagram has been aggressively trying to compete with TikTok when it comes to short videos. Now the social network has announced multiple new features for its Reels platform in an attempt to make it more attractive to creators. So, like, what does that mean? Coming in a blog post, it's now easier to find out what's trending on Reels. Creators will find a new section with top trending hashtags and songs so that they can create Reels about what other people really want to see. Whoa, say that again? So that they can create Reels about what other people really want to see. These are the types of insights you can tap into with the new trends destination, Instagram explains. That's kind of confusing. Does that make any sense to you, Joe?
Sort of, but at the same time, not really.
Okay. Oh yeah, Joe actually lives in the UK. He's in the UK right now, so his voice might sound a little bit different.
Yeah, I live in London.
Yeah, like he's like on like a week-long vacation, so if his voice sounds a little bit British, that's probably why. Well, I'm not really sure what that means, but if anyone wants to comment, I don't know if you're listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, wherever. We're on like all the different platforms, I believe. If anyone wants to comment or something and summarize this, that will be helpful. I'm gonna leave it up to y'all, because that's not making much sense to me. Maybe it's just like a For You page, but for Reels? Not quite sure about that. Alright, any thoughts on that, Joe, or should we move on?
No, not really, because Instagram is not really my type of thing.
Yeah, not really my type either.
I use it, but not often at all.
I use it, but I wouldn't really care if it got deleted off the face of the earth compared to YouTube or Twitter, where I probably would. Alright, so Ice Universe, common tech Twitter blogger, he says, oh, by the way, the Galaxy S23 Ultra is the most eye-damaging screen among all brands of mobile phones. It's only PWM 240Hz, which is lower than 480Hz of the iPhone 14 Pro, and both are far inferior to Chinese mobile phones. So, and then this is kind of confusing people, like, how's it damaging because of the refresh rate? And he kind of summarized it, and he said, imagine that there is an electric fan in front of you. When its speed is low enough, you can see the blades of the fan turning one by one in front of your eyes. Your eyes will get tired, but after its speed becomes faster, you will not be able to see the fan blades. Eye comfort. Okay, so that kind of makes sense. So basically, the higher the refresh rate, I guess that means that it makes your eyes more comfortable. Does that make sense?
It's some super suspicious malarkey.
Okay. Well, I guess that makes sense. It's kind of funny and ironic though, because Samsung always brags about like their refresh rate and how good their phones are for your eyes, but in reality, theirs are the most damaging.
They're not good for your eyesight at all, mate. Just not even cool. They're lying.
Yeah, mate, definitely. So, the 15-inch MacBook Air is fast approaching. So, I mean, Joe, just a question for you. What would you like to see on the next MacBook Air?
Probably a digital keyboard. That would be really awesome.
A digital keyboard?
Like if the keyboard was like a screen. Like if the keyboard was like a screen that projected the keys. I don't know, that just seems really cool.
But think about, like, imagine gaming with that. ASDW on a digital keyboard, and then your knuckles would be hitting all the buttons.
Oh, I don't know, mate.
Like,
that just seems really cool.
You have your iPad right now. Open up Spotlight, and then try laying the iPad down on the ground and typing like you would on a keyboard.
That's what I'm doing right now, mate.
Is it cool at all?
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's like kind of satisfying.
Okay. I would strongly disagree, but we all have our opinions, right?
Or you know, it would be cool to see at least have a few digital buttons, like have the power button digital.
The power button? Why would you want the power button digital?
I don't know, just some cool digital buttons.
Digital buttons?
It would just make it so much cooler. I want to see Apple innovate, not just be the same each year. Like they always are. They rarely make any big changes.
They made big changes with the butterfly keyboard, and everyone hated it. I can see why.
Like the biggest change they've made recently to any of the devices was the dynamic island on the iPhone 14 Pro.
Yes. They could bring that to the Mac. That would be interesting.
Yeah. That would be pretty interesting.
Imagine.
But you know what?
Hold up.
They need to add touchscreen to the Macs. Touchscreen would be nice.
The screens
it's
are so
gay
hard
that
to
they
clean.
don't have that.
Yeah. So imagine the dynamic island on a Mac though. Like you could use your dock, and basically whenever you hover your mouse over the dynamic island, it expands out into the macOS dock. That's actually really cool. Huh. Okay, well, this report comes from Bloomberg and cites developer logs, which have leaked now that Apple has started testing the new MacBook Air with third-party apps from the App Store to validate their compatibility. According to the report, a 15-inch MacBook has a screen resolution identical to the 14-inch MacBook Pro, which means it would run the same. It means it would run the same resolution, but with slightly less sharpness. So basically, they took the same resolution from a smaller laptop and just upscaled it, so it's not gonna be as perfect and clear, but technically, it's the same as my laptop, the 14-inch MacBook Pro, which is what I'm using right now. The machine being tested has an 8-core processor with 4 high-performance cores and 4 efficiency cores. Whether it's the M2 chip,
pretty alright.
I mean,
It's pretty alright.
yeah, it's not
It's
super.
not the best. It's pretty average.
Yeah, I think that's like one core each added, compared to this year's MacBook Air. Whether it's the M2 chip in particular remains to be seen. Today's report simply says that the performance of the machine is on par with the current M2 chip. There's also still no word on when exactly Apple is planning to release this new 15-inch MacBook Air. When would you say? Jill?
Hello?
Yeah, I'm here.
Hello?
Yeah, when do you think they would launch this MacBook?
2026.
Okay.
I don't know. I just wanted to give a random date.
Yeah, you did that. I meant
I know,
like
I
this
did.
year. I'm
It's
pretty
quite
sure it's talking about
obvious.
this year. Yeah. So like, basically, Apple skipped the spring event.
Yeah, why is that? That's pretty weird.
Yeah, they've been doing like March, April events, right? But we haven't had any Apple events this year, and now we're going straight into WWDC, which is in like a few weeks. So hopefully they'll launch their new VR headset there, or at least some kind of physical product.
You know what I would really like to see Apple do? Release a gaming console. That would be so like innovative especially for Apple, because they make phones, MacBooks, obviously, and it would be really cool to see them get into the gaming console market,
Like
compete against PlayStation, Microsoft, Xbox.
And you could
And
get
Sony.
like Apple Arcade free with it.
Yeah,
Would it be the
that would be,
same
like,
apps
awesome.
that are on iPhone and iPad?
I don't know, but it would just be cool to see them release a console. I don't know what kind. Like maybe a handheld console would be really cool, like kind of like the Nintendo Switch.
But then why not just make an accessory for the iPhone that gives you the ability to like control it like a Switch?
Yeah, but how would they do that? Like magnets or something?
Yeah,
Probably
or
magnets.
with an iPad or just Bluetooth. I mean, the Bluetooth keyboards are really fast now. So, just a thought. Apple's expected to use a new 3nm fabrication process for at least some of the M3 chip variants. This will lead to a notable improvement in performance and efficiency. It's possible, however, that 3nm tech may not be used in every version of the M3. Apple could, for instance, bifurcate the M3 lineup by using a 5nm process for M3 and a 3nm process for M3 Pro, M3 Max, and M3 Ultra. So, I'm not sure what the fabrication process is, but I'm guessing that's like the size of the machines that put the chips together, so you can make them more intricate and detailed and more compact the smaller you go.
Compact. Super suspicious malarkey.
Yeah. Okay, let's go back up here to 9 to 5 Mac. So let's talk about the iPhone 15 Pro rumors / leaks. Before we get started,
Pro Max Mini.
Pro Max Mini.
The Pro Max Mini.
This is the all-new Apple iPhone 15 Pro Max Ultra Mini, not Pro, 5G Fold SE 5G.
Hey, I got a good topic we could talk about.
Go for it.
Apple removing the display. Like,
Okay,
do you ever see them doing that?
For those of y'all who don't know, so you know how Apple normally does colors, right? Like, last year it was the iPhone 13 in green. This year, or before that, it was the iPhone 12 and like a light purple. Well, this year they launched the iPhone 14 in yellow, but the thing is they like removed the display basically. So there's like no screen at all on the phone, and like there's kind of a bit of backlash because people feel like the screen was kind of like necessary to use it, but Apple says they just had the courage to remove it because someone had to, and that's one of the big things that's going on right now.
That's like really not cool for Apple. Like,
I mean,
Apple, if you're watching this, bring back the display, please.
Yeah, Tim Apple, like, give it back. I could see their point of view though. Like, when I'm using my phone, I don't really need the screen. You're mainly using the buttons and stuff. And of course, we know next year we're not going to get the buttons. But yeah. When Apple removed the screen, it was kind of I don't know.
Like really not cool, man.
We asked for a design overhaul, and I guess that's what we got. Right?
Yeah, pretty much.
So we've been
Pretty much,
yeah. So let's talk about the iPhone 15 Pro. Meet the new volume buttons, same as old volume buttons. So who could have guessed that the volume buttons would be the biggest rumor to track for iPhone 15 Pro cycle? So basically, Joe, you know how, like, remember when you had that iPhone SE and you would press the home button and it wasn't a real button, it was like a semiconductive, like, capacitive touch button?
Yeah, it wasn't like a real physical button.
Yeah. Well, that's what everyone is saying the iPhone 15 is going to be like, but for the power button and volume buttons.
I just don't see that doing too well.
Yeah. And, like, they're also supposed to be, like, turning the up and down volume buttons into, like, one rocker. And then people are saying that there's going to be, like, gestures. So, like, to turn up the volume, you could, like, swipe your thumb up on the volume rockers. That just feels so awkward, though. And you could just press it. But I don't know.
Yeah, that would just not be, like, that would not be really good.
One of the big things is, like, once your phone goes dead and the button doesn't work, how do you turn your phone back on? Like, once it's powered off.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, that does not seem like a very good idea.
I agree. I think the physical buttons are the best way to go. But what they're saying is that there's going to be some ultra low power mode for the buttons. So, like, whenever it does get powered off, there's going to be, like, a secondary battery.
Yes, but you know what would be insane?
What?
If Apple switched to USB and just scrapped Lightning as a whole.
To USB-C, correct?
Yeah, USB-C.
I think they're doing that on all models. That is, yeah, I think everyone's pretty sure that they are. Yeah, they're bringing USB-C to the iPhone in 2023, later in September, to hopefully all models.
But
it would be pretty
but
weird.
what about
Go ahead.
what about all the people who still have models that have Lightning cord? They just don't. How is that gonna work?
A cord comes in the box. Cable comes in the box.
I know, but what about all the other people who bought iPhones before they did and have the Lightning port on
Then
the
they can
phone?
use the Lightning cable.
I guess, but like, it's just not the best move.
I mean, they kind of have to comply with the EU regulation requiring all electronic devices sold in the EU to use USB-C if they're capable of charging via a port. So Apple was faced with two options. They could either go completely portless, that way they could say, hey, you said device is capable of charging with a port and we don't have a port, so we don't have to comply. Or they could just do what the EU wants and go with USB-C, which I feel like that's a superior port, and that was the right decision to bring it to the iPhone 15.
Now, let's talk about the Super Mario Bros. Movie.
Oh, yeah.
Controversial it is.
I remember a few episodes back we watched the trailer and we were talking about how good the renders are, and we actually just went and watched it in theaters together. Jack Black was Bowser, Chris Pratt was Mario, so I feel like Nintendo was pretty focused on just like hiring big names in order to make their movie sell well, and I'm not sure if that's gonna work or not, but yeah.